In today's episode of How the Fuck Are We Still Surprised, we got yet another report talking about how democracies are circling the goddamn drain, and one of the largest turds refusing to flush, yeah, that's Donald J. Trump. This time, it's not just a bunch of pissed-off Twitter warriors screaming into the void. No, we're talking about the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, also known as the International IDEA. Which sounds nice and hopeful, right? Except that their latest idea is that democracies are absolutely fucked, including ours. They're saying that the US is officially on the list of declining democracies yet again. Like a washed-up rock star who keeps promising a comeback tour, but just ends up punching a waitress and ending up in rehab. Or how Tesla stocks are doing after Elon's little Nazi salute. But now, before we get too full of ourselves thinking, oh, but America is special, it could never happen to us, let's look at the big picture here. The report says half. Let me say that again and let that really sink in. Half of the world's democracies are on decline. That means it's a coin flip between a functioning government and, oops, we accidentally elected a dictator. Act now and you too can experience the joys of incompetent rule, authoritarianism, free suppression of rights included. If you buy the supersize, you can get citizens expelled to foreign prisons in El Salvador. This isn't just a US problem. This is a world problem. You've got Brazil still picking up its pieces after the January 8th insurrection. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has been treating democracy like a goddamn rental car in the movie Days of Thunder. And India, the world's largest democracy, has been rolling back rights like they're having a clearance sale. Tell me again how it could never happen to us. But back to America. Because we always think we are the main character, the International IDEA, who again, let's make this fucking clear, aren't some leftist Twitter accounts, that we have no idea who they are. This is a global think tank filled with experts, full of degrees, many of which from our own country. Well, they say the US has been in democratic decline for 7 years. That's right. We've been failing democracy longer than some of you have been holding on to your New Year's resolutions. The report blames chronic political polarization, misinformation, attempts to undermine electoral integrity, which is an academic way of saying people are getting dumber, angrier, and more willing to burn democracy to the ground if their guy doesn't win. And I mean, they're not wrong. And here's the part that should scare the shit out of us. Really scare the shit out of us. Between 2020 and 2024, nearly 20% of elections had losing parties rejecting the results. That's 1 in 5 elections where people basically say, nope, didn't like the outcome, let's pretend it didn't happen.
You serious, Clark?
This is how democracies die, not with a bang, but with a bunch of whiny assholes refusing to accept reality. I mean, what's the point of having elections if we're just going to ignore the results every time your team loses? It gets worse. The report says that less than half of Americans still believe in the legitimacy of elections at all. Let me repeat that for people in the back. Less than half of Americans believe that elections have integrity of any kind. That means democracy is now in a shady used car salesman. Most of the country does not trust it, but we're all willing to keep showing up, hoping it won't break down before we get home. And here's where we bring in the big guns. Kevin Casas-Amara, Secretary General of the IDEA. He is quoted as saying, "The success of democracy depends on many things, but it becomes utterly impossible if elections fail."
Kids, don't try this at home.
So yes, we're basically playing Russian roulette with democracy right now. And there's a bunch of Americans who are pulling the trigger just for shits and giggles, not even realizing what chamber is full. Now, I'm not saying we're about to become like Handmaid's Tale, like right off the bat. Obviously, that's hyperbolic. But if you squint real hard, it starts to look a hell of a lot like American primeval. Or, just keep doom scrolling till it's too fucking late. Not like that hasn't had horrible outcomes so far, right?